support, resistance, resistance, and resistance. So right now we're sitting at the weekly order block equilibrium. We'll see if we'll break above it. I don't have a whole lot to say about this chart right now besides it's looking really weak. It's looking pretty bearish to me. So we can break it down to the 1 day, get a little more detailed. So basically these 2 months are looking pretty similar to me. We had the dump, consolidation with long wicks on the top and bottom, consolidation with long wicks on top and bottom, retest equilibrium as resistance, retest equilibrium as resistance, dump, break above the equilibrium, and then retest, and we're retesting it right now. So this is looking pretty similar to that price action that we had last month. Let me mark out a key level that I think will be confluent with another level that I'm looking at on lower time frames. Say this breaker right here is 2-day breaker. Shout out to Maine for pointing this out. I was already looking at this level, but I saw him mention it in the live stream. We already tapped into this candle in the wick, and we got our first reaction from it. But let's go down to the 4 hour. We can get a little more details. So, yeah, so you can see this breaker this 2-day breaker that I marked is confluent with this low time frame supply zone right here. Let me mark that out for you. I like this supply zone because this is a really strong supply zone. You can tell because of how hard the dump was, consolidated for just a few hours. We didn't spend much time, and then we dumped down even further. So this shows to me that this is a pretty strong supply zone. Like I said, you can tell by the way the price leaves the level of how strong it is, and then how much time is spent there. So two odds enhancers that you can look at to increase your odds whenever you're looking to take a trade at a supply or demand zone. I posted a chart on Twitter with those two odds enhancers, so you can go check that out if you want. But anyways, yeah, so last video, let me mark out the levels I was looking at last video so we can go over how that played out and see if it looked good. Let's see. Yeah, so we're sitting like right here. I marked out this order block or demand level that sent us out of the range that we were in for a long time. So that was a pretty important order block in my opinion. So last video I was talking about, we're right here testing it as resistance as I was making the video, and I was saying I expect us to dump a little bit, this be used as resistance, and then I expected the weekly order block, and I had this breaker marked out right here. Yeah, so hold on one sec. So let's see how that played out. We use this as resistance, dump down, came up, resistance, resistance, and then came and pretty much tested the equilibrium, dumped off. As soon as we broke above it, came up and tested the zone that I had. We couldn't even get into the zone at first. We were consolidating right under it, but usually whenever you're consolidating at support or resistance level, that's a sign that you're going to break that level. So we tapped into that level, and then that gave us a reaction to this, or a pullback to this equilibrium. I expect us to come down, and there's a few stops under here I expect us to take before we come back up and test this area that I'm looking to short. I actually shorted a little bit of this zone, but I only got like 10% filled, unfortunately, so that didn't turn out like I planned, obviously, but I closed that on this candle here. So just a small little trade, but I still expect us to go higher, and then I'll be loading up on a pretty big short, because whenever we come and test this supply zone right here, I expect us to dump pretty hard. As you can see, these dumps that we had, as soon as we broke market structure, came down here, violent dump, consolidated, a violent dump, consolidated, a violent dump. This was a pretty violent dump too, so I don't think this is going to be where we just drop off. I think we'll consolidate, maybe take these stops, hit this little SR level right here, and then yeah, I expect us to come down here. We'll probably get some consolidation right here, and then I expect us to test into the supply zone and then dump. So that's where I'll be looking to short up in this zone. We can go down to the 2 hour and mark that level a little bit better. So really there's a whole lot of levels that we're running into as resistance if you think about it. Like I said, we had this order block resistance. We had this ignored demand right here that sent us up all the way to the weekly order block open. We had this ignored demand, which also lines up with equilibrium. So resistance, resistance. We had this ignored demand. Well, you could say it's ignored. That's kind of debatable because we got this little reaction here. So some of this was ignored. But whenever we engulf this, this demand, yeah, is ignored. So you could use it as supply now. So that's why we got a reaction from here. But quite a few levels. You know, we had this 2-day breaker, lines up perfect with this supply zone, the strong supply zone. So not a whole lot of, or not very good signs for the bulls, I would say. So watch out for all the people that are getting really bullish on Twitter. I tweeted about this the other day. Kind of funny, every time I tweet something bearish, I lose followers. I mean, I don't really care. It's just really funny. Apparently people just love losing money. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and mark out the short that I'm looking to take. I'm going to layer bids all the way from like 68, 80 to around 7K. So I'll just throw it like right here. But ultimately, I'll have my stop pretty conservative up here above the weekly order block open. I'm targeting the close of this weekly order block, and then even further than that, let me fix this up a little bit. I'll take profit on the way down, of course, but I'm going to keep a majority of this position open because, like I said, I expect 5.8K to break next time we test it. Just because of how many times we tested it. I mean, like I said, if we take a look at that weekly chart again, this is just looking weaker and weaker every single time. I don't really get how somebody can look at this and be very bullish. So like I said, watch out for all the mega bulls. They get super bullish every time we get a few green candles. Those are the kind of people you want to pay attention to, but definitely don't follow their trades. You shouldn't follow anybody's trades on Twitter. You should always do your analysis before you even get on Twitter, because as soon as you scroll through your timeline, you're seeing people give their opinion about what they think Bitcoin is going to do, and it influences you even if you don't think it does. It really does have an impact on the way you think. So that's just a tip. I would always do your analysis before you even look at anybody's charts, even your favorite traders' charts. Just study, come up with a plan, trade that plan, and then just look. You can look on Twitter to, you know, get ideas after you come up with your analysis to see if some of the people you usually agree with are on the same page as you, but just stick to your own analysis. To me, this is looking super bearish. I don't see how anybody's going to be bullish right now. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say, guys. Like I said, I'll be taking this short at 6,900, holding it for a while. I expect us to get new yearly lows, but let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. I kind of rambled in this one, but I'll work on that. Just let me know if you like it. I'll keep doing it. So thanks for listening. See you guys later.